Hi, this is Brian Pasch, founder of PCG Companies. I'm here at Herndon Chevrolet in Lexington, South Carolina, and I'm here to talk with Brad Hawkins. He's the Fixed Operations Director for the store. Brad, thank you for taking time with me today.
Sure, not a problem.
We're here to talk about the ELEAD Service1 Retention Suite and your experience with this groundbreaking software to help you and your service team create a better customer experience here at the dealership. Let's start from the beginning. How long have you been here at Herndon?
Been here about 2 years now.
Great. And how long has the ELEAD software been installed?
We got it about Thanksgiving last year, so not quite a year yet.
Great. Now, before we jump in and talk about your experience with the ELEAD Service1 product, I want to talk to you about your previous experience. How many people on a monthly basis are coming into the service drive?
We generally average about 1,500 to 1,700 depending on the month, right around that area.
Great, so you have a busy drive. What was the process before you really decided to revolutionize the customer experience? Walk me through. Customer drives up. What would your team do? How long would it take?
It was about a 5 to 7 minute process with each customer. We were kind of in the stone ages with the handwriting clipboards, pieces of paper, going out and meet and greeting the customer at the car. And you'd have to bring them back into your desk and pull up the information. So it took a long time. So if you had a big backlog in the service lane, it created a huge problem.
So let's talk about your previous service scheduling system and how it was integrated into the service drive experience. What was going on your website with your online scheduler and your DMS? You had mentioned there were some conflicts.
Yeah, we weren't getting all the information that the customer was inputting off of our website. We were getting a lot of information dropped between that and our DMS system. So we were kind of hit and miss on what the customer was coming in for and what they needed. So we were kind of flying blind for the most part.
And let's talk about the amount of information that your service advisors had. Obviously, you were using a clipboard, so you were printing out some type of sheet, customer appointment record.
Had a routing sheet.
That's right. So when you look at what you have today in the service drive, how would you compare that previous data experience, that snapshot of the customer, with what you have today?
Night and day. Like I said before, what we had was just barely enough information to get by. Now, at our fingertips, we have everything we need and more than what you could ask for.
Great. Now, when we talk about this service process that you had in place before, service advisor walked the car with a customer, came back inside to their desk, sat down 5 or 6 minutes to write up this service order. Was that the ideal customer experience?
No, not even close. We're striving to get the customer to connect with the service advisor on a personal basis right off the bat. And before it was very cumbersome. You didn't know who it was. With the information we have now, you can pull it up and say, hey, I know that's Mr. Jones or Mr. Smith, and you walk out and call them by name and welcome to Herndon Chevrolet, and it's a more personal touch.
Great. So let's talk about the ELEAD Service1 Retention Suite. Your team is now using tablets in the service drive.
Correct.
And we can take a look at some of the screens that show the amount of information that your service advisors have. But let's walk through that new process. They're no longer required to take a customer out of the service drive, sit down at a desk. How fast can an order be written up today with the new Service1 suite?
Sure. The service writer process now is streamlined to about a minute or two, depending on what the customer wants and how much the interaction is. We have all the information right at our fingertips there. It's very fast, very, very personal. We invite them to do a walk around on the car with us, so they're part of the journey, and just makes it so much better.
And one of the things that I love about the software is that the vehicle damage report or condition report is right there on the tablet, so that information is instantly inputted into the system with the customer walking along. How is that helping you create greater transparency and trust with the customer?
It helps both them and us, because most people don't ever walk to the other side of the car. They get in the driver's side and going down the road. This way, when we're doing the walk around, they're seeing what we're seeing. We're saving the information. It stays in your DMS system forever. So that way, if you have a problem later on down the road, it's always there for you to pull up and look at it. And it's like I said, they're seeing exactly what we're seeing.
So after implementing the E1 Service1 Retention Suite, you've reduced your write-up time from 5 to 7 minutes to 1 to 2 minutes. You've created a more collaborative conversation with your customers. Everything is right there on the tablet. And then the information. When you look at the screens that your service advisors have at their fingertips, how has this allowed them to have a more collaborative conversation, especially things like declined service or recommended services? How has the information transformed the conversation?
Well, like I said, everything's right there at the fingertips. They can pull up the history so they can see what it was here for before. If they decline sales, so we can say, I guess you're back to have that done today. We recommended this last time. I see that you've had this done, so you don't make another recommendation on top of something we've already done. It just makes it so much more, nice and easy for the customer and for the service writer.
I'd like to talk about declined service opportunities. As I travel around the country, dealers seem to struggle with having enough time to call back customers that decline services. It's a huge revenue opportunity. How has Herndon been using the ELEAD1ONE Service Retention Suite and Call Center to revolutionize your declined service revenue?
It's made a huge difference. We're averaging about a 17 to 24% capture rate on those getting them back in the door. We also use their call center to make those phone calls and emails, things like that. And it also frees up my service writers to do what they're supposed to do, which is taking care of the customer.
Right. So let's just take a moment. Some dealers watching today's video might say, no, I want my people to make all those calls. ELEAD can't do as good a job as my people. But actually the opposite is true. The call center in Valdosta, Georgia has the highest standards and training and quality assurances to get that high percent. You said 17 to 20?
24.
24% of the people back. Was that a stat that your own team was able to achieve?
Not even close. In a perfect world, you want to have your people making the phone calls because they have the personal commitment with the customer, but it's just not possible. With everything that's going on in today's fast-paced world, there's just not enough time to make all the phone calls that you have to.
And I guess that's one of the points that I was so glad to, as I visualized what was happening here and now seeing in action, is that your service advisors are great face-to-face with people. They may not be great on the phone, leaving messages. And wouldn't you say that the call center partnership has optimized your human capital?
Oh yeah, it's freed them up to do, like I said, what they need to be doing, which is the face-to-face, one-on-one, back and forth with the customers, so they can keep them updated on the information, what needs to be done, and where they're at, and hey, your car's ready, come on down, as opposed to catching phone calls and making appointments later on down the road.
So let's talk about the customer life cycle. This is really important. Nothing is more important than maximizing the lifetime value of all the customers in your DMS. How has the ELEAD Service1 Retention Suite at the highest level been able to allow your dealership to maximize revenue by keeping in touch with your customers?
They do a really good job of that. We have some specials that we send out, email blasts, things like that. So if we're having a special that we want to run, or if we're having a slow period, we can reach out and say, hey, how about send me a couple email blasts, get some people in there. They do a real good job of that, and it helps keep us up to where we need to be at when it comes as far as traffic flow and revenue, things like that.
What about reminding people about scheduled maintenance? What about warranty expiration? Are you using the call center to help you reach out to customers with those great phone calls? Is it a shared responsibility? Are you outsourcing it? What does it look like at Herndon?
Yeah, we're using them for that as well. They're calling ahead of time for and also verifying that you do have an appointment on this day to remind us of that. Also for you're due for this scheduled maintenance at that point in time. So it does help a lot.
Great. So if you step back and look at your previous system, which was a third-party scheduler, your DMS, and yet another service scheduling tool, and now having an integrated web-based service scheduler, a centralized database that sales and service shares, a unified customer record, and tablets, which gives your team the visibility to handle the customers the right way the first time. How would you say this has transformed your business profitability, and then also address any feedback that you've got from customers?
Customers have been really receptive of it. At first, a lot of the older customers were kind of taken aback from it, but most people, everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's a smartphone, so it's very user friendly. It's very hands-on, same situation. It's increased our profits by 10 to 15%.
Great.
Over the bottom line. It's allowed customers to feel comfortable and understand it. They expect it now as opposed to, oh, this is all new to me. So it's just kind of taken us up to the next level that a lot of places around here just don't have.
Great. And I think that is a key point, that dealerships that are using older or outdated systems, when customers experience what you have put together in combination with the ELEAD team, is really transformational. It's the experience that customers always wanted. Their time is valuable, and you're taking the time and investing the resources to make that a wow experience when they service their car.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the process where the customer leaves the car, the order's been written up, car's taken to your technicians. How has the ELEAD Service1 retention suite revolutionized the way your technicians engage with your service advisors and the customer?
It's great. The technicians now have an ability with an iPad to do the MPVI as they walk around the car.
Okay.
They can take pictures, they can interact with our parts department, sending messages back and forth with them. Is the part in stock? Do I need to pick it up? Touching base with the service advisors back and forth. It's like night and day. It's bringing us into the future, basically.
So let's walk through this. Technician does his inspection, finds some additional work that needs to be done that wasn't approved by the customer, takes a photo, maybe it's of the brake drum or brake pads, or maybe it's something leaking. All of that information doesn't go directly to the consumer, it goes to the service advisor. What do they do with it?
They can email it, they can send text messages, they can print it off and walk into the waiting lines with the customer waiting. As they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. If you're trying to explain it to them, you can just show it to them face to face and shows you exactly what needs to be done.
One thing that I really liked is with one click, this this inspection report and all the photos can be emailed to the customer. What percentage of the customers today on receiving that email will just click to approve so that the service advisors do not have to call the customer?
We're getting about a 15% return on that. We're really starting to get into that, so I'm sure in the future, as things get more adapted to it, we'll see an even higher rate from that as well.
Right. I think once the customers feel comfortable, right, as more and more dealers engage in service automation, they're going to expect these photos, these approval processes to happen automatically.
Sure. It's kind of like, customers like to have the conversations back and forth. They're shooting emails from their coworkers side by side across the office instead of getting up and walking. They're just shooting emails the same way with us, where, hey, I know it needs to have it done. Go ahead and do it and get it done and move on to the next thing.
And I think one of the other aspects of the software is the integration with parts. I don't want to just quickly jump over that. It's super important that a technician who's inspecting the car knows when those parts are available. A part could be back ordered, and well, oftentimes if a customer isn't made aware that a part is back ordered, well, they have false expectations of when the car can be delivered. Is that really a big opportunity for reducing the friction of those times when parts aren't readily available?
It's huge. When you're calling the customer or shooting them an email saying, hey, I've got this part, I can do it right now, as opposed to telling them, hey, you need to have this done, and here's the estimate, and then you call them back and say, oh, by the way, we don't have the part. We have all that information up front ahead of time, so there's no miscommunications. You can tell them exactly what's going on to begin with. And also, when the advisor approves it, it shoots it back to the parts department and the technician at the same time. The parts guy can be pulling the part. He walks over, it's sitting on the counter. Less time spent at the parts counter.
So when we talk about this ecosystem that ELEAD1 has put together, it's really not just transforming how the customer experiences, but just how your internal teams work more efficiently together. There has to be some cost savings that you see overlooking this entire department that is really exciting.
Oh yeah, it easily allows me to add 2 to 3 hours of downtime between the parts department and my technicians and service advisors crisscrossing, running back and forth, trying to touch base with each other when you have all that information right there on the screen in front of you.
Great. Well, I think today consumers are used to a more transparent environment. We know when they come to your website shopping for a car, you show the MSRP, your discounts, any rebates that GM is offering, even First Pencil tools.
Sure.
They're expecting that level of transparency. I love the fact that they can come in, engage with the service advisor side by side, look at the tablet. There's nothing hidden from them. There's no desk between them. And then when that car gets into your service techs, in a sense, they're virtually having that collaborative conversation as well. Think about over the last few months, is there any customer stories you want to share with me? Somebody who's been servicing their vehicle with you for a number of years, maybe someone responding to one of those email approvals. Did you get these wow conversations? Because I'm hearing this all the time. People are really excited about this platform. Share a story here from Herndon Chevrolet.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of long-time customers that were, like I said, a little bit resistant right off the bat with the technology. But once they kind of got comfortable with it, it was like, this is great. I don't ever want to go back the old way. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email, whatever needs to be done, and I'll be, it's, as far as reaching out with a phone call and leaving a message, it's just so much quicker and easier. We've had a customer that probably bought 6 or 7 cars from us. She loves it. She doesn't want to go back the old way anymore. So it's all about moving to the next step.
Tell me about how your service advisors reacted to the new technology. Obviously, you've had some service advisors here that have been a long time. Now you're giving them a tablet. You're requiring them to really have a more collaborative conversation with customers. What are some real life challenges of implementing new technology in the service drive?
It's like with anything in life, changes is always resisted at first, but once they realized what a benefit it was for them and the customer, they all kind of fell in line, and now they couldn't do without it.
Great. And if you were talking to a service advisor team right now, and someone who's a service advisor is watching this video, what is in it for them? Because obviously change requires everyone to buy in, and that buy-in normally is, how's this going to help me? How does it specifically help a service advisor in their career, in their financial package? However you would want to describe it, what's in it for them?
Well, the bottom line is it's going to make them more money. It's going to free them up to be more professional. Every piece of information they would need to do with it, whatever it needs to be done with the customers, right there at the fingertips. And anybody who doesn't want to do it, it would be crazy.
Great. From a manager perspective, overlooking everything that's going on in the service drive, your financial numbers, your labor resource scheduling, your customer flow, what are some of the key reports or metrics that you never had before? Mm-hmm. And now you can't do without? Think about your day now looking at the ELEAD Service1 Retention Suite. What are some things that other fixed ops directors want to hear from you about how it's making your job easier?
Well, once again, anything and every kind of information that you would ever need or want is at your fingertips there, and it's also customized. If there's an information that you just don't know how to get into, they're real good about customizing the dashboard or any report that you would need. It's right there, the retention, the hours per RO, gross profit per ticket. You can get the decline lines, see who's making changes that shouldn't be making changes. It's all right there at your fingertips.
Great. For fixed ops directors who are watching today's video and have some doubts, maybe some resistance about changing their infrastructure to embrace new technology, what would be one thing that you would say to them to make them pick up the phone and give ELEADS a call?
If you don't change, you're going to be left behind. And it's better to be on the leading edge as opposed to the tailing edge of that. So it's time to get into the future.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come here to Herndon Chevrolet, interview you and your team to see the ELEAD1 Service Retention Suite in action. And I'm excited to come back in another year from now and see how, well, the systems, technology, and your staff have evolved to really transform today's service experience.
We'll be here waiting for you.
Thank you.